Hi. I was reading in Judges today and I couldn't help but think of a few things, particularly with Judges 4. If you haven't read Judges before, little backstory is basically what happened leading up to this point was Moses brought the Israelites out of Egypt, and the Israelites had entered into the promised land under Joshua. And essentially, after Moses died before the promised land, then Joshua led them into the promised land, and then Joshua died, but the Israelites still needed leaders. So that's where the book of Judges comes into place, because God appointed various judges to lead the Israelites and to guide them. And particularly in Judges 4, it talks about the prophet Deborah. Now, basically, long story shortened as much as possible for me, is that Deborah had spoken to the leader of the Israel army and told him basically, hey, you're gonna go and conquer this land. And the guy was like, well, I'm not gonna do that unless you're there. So she said, okay, I'm coming along, but just so you know, you're not getting the credit, God's getting the credit, plus that they will be handed over to the Israelites at the hands of a woman. Really good chapter to read. Go read it if you haven't read it. Judges 4. Point I'm getting at here, as my time runs out, is that even though the Israelites had reached the promised land, they still kept being in a repeated cycle of sinning. And it reminded me how often we are in that repeated cycle of sinning and sinning and sinning, and God has to step in, and we always ask God to step in to change things.